Top of the morning, afternoon, and the evening to you, man. It's your boy, Anthony Moore, my boy, Randy C. Mays to the right of me.
That's my whole name.
You know what I'm talking about? And welcome to the shift, man.
Yeah, man. I like the way that's starting them.
Sit up in my chair. Welcome to the shift, dog.
Shift, man.
Make me a shift.
Shift,
You know what I'm talking about? Well, listen, man. At the shift, man, we seek to have. Look, it's new, so let me think on it for a second. With the shift, we seek to have shifting perspectives. We desire to shift your perspective through what is it, folk? Through what is something conversation, inspiring conversation. There we go. All right.
Yeah, inspiring conversations.
Welcome to the shift, where we seek to shift your perspective through inspiring conversation.
Love it.
We're episode number 2, dog. Oh, twofer. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah, man, we got my boy Randy C. Mays in the building, man, and we wanted to get into the text. You know what I'm talking about? That Hagios Logos, the Hagios Biblios. That's enough. That was in the Greek and the Latin.
Give it to him.
That was in the Greek and the Latin.
Give it to him.
You know what I'm saying?
That boy diverse.
I really was speaking a little Hebrew. Anyway, I digress. But nah, man, we want to get into a text, man, that we believe would be fitting for this generation.
Absolutely.
For the ladies, she cute. Because a lot of women are wondering why they're not getting chose. And we're not saying we are by far the authority on who chooses, how to choose, but we can refer to the text and look at success leaving clues. You know, I think that's exactly what that is, man. When you look at the story of Ruth, she did a lot of things that I believe allowed her to line up in a way to be chose, to be ready to be chose. And I think so much of it had to do with her attitude and posture in that season that opened the eyes of Boaz. And so to add a little context to it, you know, we ain't going precept on precept with it, but we are going to give a little context. So you look at the story of Ruth. You have Naomi, who is the matriarch of it all. Widowed woman, some would say. That's what the text say. And she had sons. You know, they were Moabite men. So these aren't people who, well, you know what? I ain't going to say that. Because Naomi she went back to her people that were actually there. So however it was set up, there were Moabite men or whatever. But anyway, the idea is that she was widowed and her sons basically died. There were 2 sons and there were 2 widowed wives at this point.
Right.
And
daughter-in-laws.
And then their names were daughter-in-laws, my bad. And the daughter-in-laws' names were Ruth and Orpah.
I think it's
Orpah. Yeah, there we go. Orpah. Yeah, so Orpah. And so so Naomi is like, listen, I'm finna go back to my folks. I've been over here with y'all God-forsaken people. And I done been good to you, as good as I can be to you. It's time for me to go.
Right.
Y'all can go back to y'all people. Orpah gave up a little bit of a fight. She said, hey, listen, I'm going to go with you. And Ruth like, oh, for sure, I'm going with you. And she like, listen, folks, you owe me nothing. You owe me nothing. You owe me nothing but to love me. You know what I'm saying? Go on to your people now. Orpah like, well, listen, Ruth, it's been real. You know what I'm saying? Right. She look at Naomi. She get Naomi. She greet her with a holy kiss, and she scurry off on her folks. She turn around. Naomi, I'm speaking of. She turn around to go. She feel old tug. She like, what you doing, fam? I told you to go to your people. She like, listen, I'm going where you go.
Yeah.
She like, listen, I'm 97 years old, 84 years old. I'm somewhere in there. I'm going to die. Like, you going to wait for me to go to my homeland, find somebody, get pregnant. Listen, fam, we ain't doing that. Like, go to your people.
Right.
She like, listen, my people's your people. You know what I'm saying? Your God is my God. Like, that's what I'm doing. Naomi couldn't fight her no more. So cool. They go on a trek. You know what I'm saying? So they go across town to her people. When she get there, I don't know where you want to jump in with it, but when she get there, you know, Naomi is like, you know, she doing what she do, but she's an elderly woman. Her cousin was Boaz her cousin? I think Boaz was her cousin, but I believe Boaz was her cousin. Now that one I might be a little shaky on, but I'm almost 90% sure, 95 that that's her cousin. If we wrong, we ain't scholars in that regard all the way. But anyway, basically Ruth starts working and she has a heart posture to serve essentially,
right.
and she works. I think as actually they was even trying to stop her from doing as much, but that was what was in her, and so she essentially gets linked up with Boaz, and her life has changed. Her lineage, all of that is made great again. And so, they end up being a part of the lineage of Jesus, essentially. And so,
correct.
We wanted to kind of dive into some of the things that Ruth was able to do and how that would be attractive or something that any man would notice. Yeah. And so, we want to get into it, man.
So as you read that narrative, and in conversations that I've had with my sisters in Christ over the years, man, and you get into, I'm big about, I'm huge about this, having somebody in the Bible that you identify with.
Yes.
And it may change season to season.
Yes.
It may, you know what I'm saying? But I'm big about that. And when you have conversations with women, most of them, 90% of them, are going to relate to Ruth. They'll say it, at least in my experience. They're going to say Ruth. So it makes me wonder, why did Ruth get chose?
Yeah.
As you were reading it, as you were reading the text, man, something else kind of something kind of hit me, and it was like, Ruth displayed what she displayed when she was pressed. So what comes out when you're pressed is what's in you. So when you're pressed, hey, you ain't got to go with me. Hey, I'm giving you every excuse in the world to not go with me. The only thing that came out of Ruth was loyalty.
Yes.
When presented with different opportunities, and she knew she was going to have to get out here and grind, the only thing that came out of Ruth was loyalty and work ethic. The only thing that came out of her when she was pressed was loyalty, work ethic, and servitude. When pressed, that's what came out.
Yes.
So on the what, and taking a second, and I'm gonna get this out, man. I gotta get this piece out, man.
Mm-hmm.
We look at Ruth, and then we look at Orpah, the other daughter-in-law, that she was pressed a little bit, and she gave a little fight back, and then she tried to go home, and that's fine. The daughter-in-law that chose not to commit and serve a cause that was bigger and greater than her, which would have been Naomi at that time period, she's not documented anywhere in this text as to ever having received a blessing. So for me, if you desire a certain level of commitment from a Boaz, the question is to the single sisters, is what have you committed yourself to personally that didn't serve or benefit you at all? Because what did Ruth even have to gain in going with Naomi? Anybody would have looked at Naomi. Naomi is probably looking at Ruth like, you're going to waste your life following around this old woman. Follow me around. Not knowing what was on the other side of her committing to a cause that was greater than her. She had nothing to gain out of going with Naomi. And it turns out she received a blessing.
Yeah.
That's a character trait and quality that you just have to have in you. I don't think that can be taught or gathered. I think there's just a level of drive and commitment and dedication that you simply just have to have. So why did Ruth get chose?
Well, what the text don't tell us is that we don't know exactly what could have happened to Orpah.
Right.
She could have found a nice working young man, or she could have been a whoremonger. We don't know.
Right.
But you have to be careful, and this is talking to the fellas really quick. You have to be careful of those who can be easily persuaded.
Talk.
Because everybody is saying what they're committed to and what they do and what they love. We all know because we've been there before, whether it's a man saying he loved to take you to get your nails done, or you saying you love to cook, or, hey, I jumped for joy to go take the trash out. Cap, and it's at an all-time high. You know what I'm saying? So just be very aware of what people say. Do they stand on it? You know, because it doesn't seem like from the text it took much persuasion from Naomi for Orpah to be like, all right, I'm going to go to my people. Right. And in return, noticing, bro, sometimes, man, we got to be careful about, I heard a lot of people say, man, talking about lists, like you put a list out of what you want in a woman, and, that can be good sometimes, and sometimes it can be bad because your literal Ruth or Boaz could be right under your nose, and you so busy trying to look at this list that doesn't equate to anything that has to do with God or a purpose in your life, right? That you could overlook somebody who could serve you well. Right. You know, as we continue on and dive into this, man, right? Ruth had a large level of servitude to her that she probably had long before she ran into Boaz.
There you go.
For some of you, it's about staying down long enough to be cultivated and built and hid in God enough to allow him to let you know that all the stuff you did for your baby daddy and for the dude who said he was going to commit to you long enough to know that it wasn't for nothing. It was for this ultimate person one day.
You gotta be careful to certain artists that's saying stand down. All they gonna hear is, because elaborate on staying down.
And staying down, I don't mean to a person. Right. I mean to who God has called you to be.
There you go. Okay.
To the natural way that you move. If, you know what I'm saying? If you like to cook or you like to clean or you like to really, or you're a true servant at heart, you're going to see that displayed throughout a relationship, no matter how a person responds or treats you.
Right.
Or you're going to see it in other ways.
Right.
You know, you're serving at your local church, or you go check on your mama, or whatever it may be. So that's what I mean. Not staying down to a person who is no good for you.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Boy, you lost 100 followers. But man, and so what I hear you saying, man, is that a Boaz type of man is going to watch your track record?
Yes.
Okay. So he's going to look for what you naturally do unattached from him, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. So are you saying that a Boaz type man is not going to be easily impressed by the stuff you start to do when attached to him?
Correct.
Okay. So somebody could all of a sudden develop these new characteristics of whatever. I'm not gonna say cooking and cleaning, that's just so cliche, but playing racquetball, whatever it is, once attached to their Boaz and be disappointed because he's not impressed.
Yes.
So now they could actually get mad at the Boaz and be like, well, my best wasn't good enough for him.
Yes.
But is that your best?
Yes. Yeah.
What are you naturally already doing? That's going to be, I believe, what catches the Boaz. What are you doing without prompting? Again, you talk about Ruth working in the field and all this stuff like that, man. She just worked. She wasn't looking over her shoulder to see who was watching.
Yeah.
She just wasn't. It doesn't say she was. I'll say that. I can't. Yeah,
I don't think she
it doesn't imply that she was looking over her shoulder to see who was watching, to see who saw her picking up trash. That stuff like that just gets caught, and you'll never know Boaz is watching.
Yes.
You'll never know.
That also speaks to the idea of, I hear a lot of women, and women, we say respectfully, we are not even in a season anymore of anger or bitter, whatever. Like, we just not. Like, this is a real dialogue. You can tap in on this video, it is whatever part, and have a dialogue with us. That's what we encourage, right? But sometimes, man, you got to be careful with putting out this narrative of, lost my train of thought. Where was I going with that?
Oh, I know you were touching on previous podcasts.
It was something that women say that they want. Dang it, where was I going with that? Women saying that they, dang it, crap.
Were you touching on what they desire or something that they want to do? Something
like that, bro. It's skipping.
Are you saying the person with the call, that purpose piece?
Nah, it wasn't that, bro. It was something super. It was something like much more simpler.
Okay.
But anyway, we can just pick up. You got to do. That's a good thing we can do it like this. But dang.
Nah, you good, man. But I would just encourage, man, because and we've discussed this, man, for at this point years, man. Ask yourself why you want what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like she went there looking to be loyal and look out for Naomi and be by her side, and then she ended up with the blessing and just serving and doing what she naturally done, what she was doing. Why are you moving how you move?
Yeah.
Like we see this personally all the time. And I believe that to a Boaz type person, the one who's the attention seeker will never get the attention.
There we go. I found it.
Go.
It's women who speak to the idea of wanting to be connected to this super spiritual man, this leader, this head of household.
Got something for that.
Because when you get that sometimes, ladies, if that's not really what your heart desires, you're going to buck the system.
Right.
You're going to be unsettled and unhappy. You're going to feel like he's bullying you or he's trying to be controlling or whatever it is, when that man just may be being faithful to the leader and man of God that God has truly called him to be.
Correct.
So proceed with caution when you look from the outside perspective at what another couple has going on. Yeah. When somebody is up on stage and they said, my son had stage 4 cancer, or we didn't have any money and we didn't know how we was gonna feed our kids, and he grabbed my hands and we prayed. How would you respond in that season?
Right.
Because when we look at Ruth, she was just fresh off losing her husband, and didn't neglect to look out for a woman that she had no responsibility to.
Right.
Went and I can't help but think that whatever provision she got took part, it helped take part in taking care of Naomi as well. So being able to serve in situations, whether that's being a stepmom, whether that's, looking at what if the spouse, your spouse's mom or dad has it's so much that comes along with that. So be careful what you say you want to be a part of or what you want from somebody, because it may require something more equally from you that you may not want to do or that you're simply not equipped to do.
Right. Man, I love that piece, man. Real quick, I want to touch on the desire to be attached to the super spiritual, this, that, and other. Mm-hmm. That requires a certain level of maturity, man, that you have to possess to be attached to that.
Yes.
I don't care how spiritual. I don't care how many times a day that man pray. I don't care how many times you see that man in his word, how many hands he lay on you. That man has the ugly side too.
Yeah.
That man is not free from struggle. And you being attached to him as his person are going to see that side that everybody else may not see. And that don't make that man fake at all. Everybody as a leader or spiritual, whatever, this, that, and other, you can't show the people that you're responsible for all of this. You can't. You can't. So you as his person, you have to be mature enough to be like, man, you just did all that praying and you just cussed? Yes, he did.
Yeah.
You having a drink? You're a groupie.
Yeah.
You're a groupie. That looked good from the stage.
Yes.
But now that you're attached to it, and now you're like, oh, this, that, another. Well, you know what? Here's what's crazy. When that ends, because he's going to leave you.
Oh, man.
And you get attached to another one, he's going to have a struggle and the ugly side too. Yeah. It's coming, ladies.
Don't make an idol out of the image.
Just don't. Just don't. Here's what you say, though. Here's what you say. Here's where you get in position. You're like, okay, I see his blind spot. I see his struggle. Now I know how to pray for him. Turn my mic off, bro.
I can't reach it. Nah, that's real, man. That's real. Man, you gotta be equipped. You have to be equipped for what the calling is.
You do.
Because man, you'll get swallowed up if you're not.
Yeah.
And once you start drowning, you're still responsible. Whether it's for your husband covering his blind spots, or for your kids, them kids are yours, or to still serve in whatever capacity out in the marketplace.
Right.
None of those things change and that's why it's important to have certain conversations.
Right.
I don't know what the vetting process was back then, but there's not bad questions to ask. People need to stop being so enthralled with how somebody looks,
yes,
or what they have, that you don't start understanding what's going on inside of that person's brain and in their heart and who they are as a person and spiritually. What has God called you to? Because it's okay to be like, hey, fam, I don't want to be a first lady. It's okay to be like, yeah, I don't even like people at my house, let alone hosting Bible studies.
Right.
That's I'm telling you, it's better to understand those things now, because you'll get to a place, man, where you're a part of something and you're unhappy. And then there's the self-sabotage.
Yes. Man, that's an episode in itself.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a part of it.
Yeah.
Attaching yourself to something, wanting that Boaz and not understanding that Well, first of all, he's not even impressed by half the stuff that most people are impressed by.
Spend some time there.
He don't care about the look.
Spend
even if you cooking may be the best thing that you do, but I don't need that, baby. I can call somebody to cater. You may have the most amazing mouthpiece ever to have conversation, and he just like, yeah, but I just need you to pray for me.
Right.
I need you to stand by my side. I need you to show up to these appearances.
Yeah.
It's so don't be offended when he's not like everybody else.
Right.
Because that is a real thing, man. And I don't know if it's necessarily even spousal envy sometimes. I think it's just, man, can you give that example, bro? It rocks me to this day, bro, of the illustration you gave about the bird flying and the thing being, taking it up and
the elevation.
Please give that example, bro.
So, man, I believe that in certain relationships, man, it can be romantic. It can be friendships, man. I believe that certain people can only go so far with you. Certain places they're not going to be able to go, man. So the illustration is that, man, certain people will see how high you can actually go probably before you do. And because people's closer to you, they can examine, they can see it. God actually shows them stuff, what they do with it. They should be encouraging with it, but some people use it to hate. And so they see that thing on you, man. And so they really want to hold you down. And you're still, because God has their hand on you, God has his hand on you, man, you're constantly elevating. You're constantly elevating. And the higher you go, man, the air gets thinner.
Yeah.
And so that person that you're trying to take with you, they're not graded for that level of elevation. And so now they're literally starting to choke and they're suffocating. And so just like, man, whenever you see somebody on a thing on TV and they're choking or whatever, this, that, and other, the thing closest to them, they're reaching out, they're grasping, they're clawing, and they finally will push you away. So, man, everybody's not that. But go ahead, man, with where you going with that, man.
But the idea is to be careful what you want to attach yourself to.
Yeah.
Because you can find yourself in thin air.
Yeah.
And
you may suffocate yourself.
Yeah, and you can harm you. You could do more harm than good.
And all that person is doing is what they were naturally doing that attracted you to them.
Birds fly.
Here it is, man. I'll be honest, man. As a kid flying, I thought flight attendants were the most prettiest women. Like, flying, like, man, she look good, man. This, that, and another, man. But I wasn't gonna grow up and attach myself to a flight attendant. They gone too much.
Yeah.
She was doing that for she met me. You gone too much. I'm good. I want nothing to do with you. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And so it's like, man, be careful.
Yeah, and they got a funny badge coming through. Oh, they got a whole funny badge coming through, folks. Oh man. but nah, man. Which brings me to another one. I don't know if we get close to the end, and I'm starting to lose my bearings. But man, in a real way, Ruth had this part, and I think it was in let me find it. It's Ruth. I think it's Ruth 3, where I'm trying to be serious here because this is a serious moment. But it says, lie down until the morning. It says, so she lay at his feet until the morning, but arose before one could recognize another. And he said, let it not be known that the woman came to the threshing floor. He said, bring the garments. So basically, there was a moment where I believe Naomi was the one who told her to go lay at his feet. Lay, not to do anything, not to make herself be presented a certain way, to lay at his feet. In a joking way, but a very, very serious way. There's a certain level of humility that is attached to being able to lay at a man's feet. And if you translate that to today's time, is there a level of humility that says, I'm going to submit? Well, the simplest way to put it is sub under the mission. Do you want to do your own thing, or do you want to come under the mission of whatever this man is? I was told that if it ain't leading you to sin, you're supposed to be complicit with whatever this man puts in place.
Yeah.
Some people aren't comfortable, and we see, especially in today's age, making it equivalent to laying at somebody's feet, coming under the mission of that man and whatever he has in place. It's a dangerous thing to come into a situation. Remember, we saw a video of a woman who said it came to the like something about submission or something, and she was
at
like,
the wedding.
Yes, at the wedding, at the altar, and she was like, I don't know about that, and she was like, we can move on, and the pastor let it be okay. What day and time do we live in where that's okay? You know, listen, divorce happens,
right?
You know, people, but it's like for you to walk up to the altar like, hey, fam, I ain't submitting. That sounds awesome. But it was almost like, well, what he gonna do? Can I trust his leadership? You should have thought about that before we came down to this.
Yeah,
altar.
that's a piece I was gonna speak to really quick, man. Also, man, something that I realized, man, that I did, man, that I had a bad habit of is, man, I can lead. That's what I do, man. But I also assume that certain people should just already know certain things.
Yeah, I'm bad with
that. It's like, why? So it was like, so now I've had this conversation with Princess, man. Like now it's like, I'm not gonna jump to any conclusions. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I can make all the assumptions in the world, but it's like, no, okay, cool. Because now you are under my leadership, and so now if you don't know something, it actually falls on me.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So it's like, okay, no, I'll teach you about that. I mean, that ain't no big deal. We'll have a conversation about it. Did you know about it? Okay, you familiar with it? Okay, how do you feel? And show me the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? And so instead of, because now that's going to lead to them feeling a type way and feeling like they have to be on top of everything, which I've learned to some women is another layer of stress. Well, dang, I got it, man. I can't tell him I don't know this, or I can't tell him that, man, I messed it up. So, man, I can try, man, but I don't want this, that, and other. So now it's all this stress when it's just like, what if I create a safe place where it's like, okay, if you don't know, I'll teach you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
But dang, I've never failed tax before. No problem. We'll sit down. We'll do 1040 easy. It's no big deal.
Yeah, bro. That actually hits on something, because you can have two. Can you kind of even speak to the idea of having kind of with different women facing multiple, like the same type of situation, but why there was a level of, man, Princess wasn't negating to have stuff going on. It just wasn't a problem to me. What was the thing behind that? Because it ain't like you even got to speak to the specifics of what it was, but it's just like it was something about her that still allowed you to be like, oh, yeah, you got that going, but I got you. Don't even sweat that.
I'll be completely transparent, bro.
Yeah.
From the first phone conversation, bro, when we was cool, I said, it's going to be weird. I said, I'm not trying to shoot no game. I promise you. I was like, man, God telling me I got to look out for you. Like this was like early on. And so I said, man, listen, it would be like it may be a super small need, and I would literally have to say, because I'm like, number one, I don't have like flash money like to like impress you with no bands and nothing like that. So I'll say, listen, and I'm gonna do this. I don't want nothing from you, type of deal, bro. You know what I'm saying? But it was just it was that tug that I speak to, that I'm pretty obedient to.
Yeah.
It was just that tug, man. And then after that, man, and then she may have stuff going on, man, in her life or whatever. But I'm like, man, number one, you're called to her. First it was as a friend, and so now as a husband or soon to be husband, it was just like you're called to her. And so I think when you're called to somebody, I believe that God has honestly prepared you for the ugliest side of them, to where they may not want to disclose certain things. And because there may be conversations that we had, man, and she's like, I wasn't going to share this with you. And I'm like, that's it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, it was literally like, she was like, and she was like, I wasn't going to, I didn't want to share this with you when we were just friends, this, that, and other. But now, you know what I'm saying, that we were arguing, I shared with you. I'm like, You know what I'm saying? It was like, so I think it's just a matter. I think that's confirmation of just like, man, God will prepare your heart, man, for whatever it is. And that goes both ways, man. If you got something, if you're saying that you're called to this person in some regard and you're led to share something with them, you need to understand, man, that God is if God is pushing you to share a certain thing with somebody, God has already likely prepared their heart.
Yeah.
So
that's good, Doc.
Yeah, man.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
So, man, just to get back to the humility piece, man,
Right.
the servitude piece. So let me ask you this. Would you consider yourself traditional?
I can be. But I think I have traditional whatever.
Yeah.
I think I'm more open to this modern stuff now, only because something I didn't know. There are, I'll just go to the bills and the providing piece. There are women out there who have an overwhelming desire to contribute.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to be a Nazi and just, no, you're not doing anything like that. I'm like, you can do it. For me, I'm at the deal where I'm at the point where you contribute enough that won't stress you out.
Yeah.
The point it becomes a stressor and you feeling like you gotta work your 40 hours and drive an Uber to, we're not doing all that. We're just not doing it. Now, I do need to see that you're willing to do it. If worse comes to worse, I get hurt, I can't work like I do, whatever it is. As long as I know you got that heart, you good with me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna go with traditional, but I don't want to be a Nazi.
Yeah, I think that's big. And I think in today's society, just based off of the life, like whether it's, inflation or, whatever, like stuff that's going on in society with COVID type stuff, like all that stuff, I think kind of has made it a little different. So it's almost, unless you just one of the 1%, like talking about, they almost have to contribute something. Like, and I ain't, you know what I'm saying? And even like in the one, it still applies. Yeah. Unless you're the 1%, because that you still kind of are able to kind of maneuver. I mean, I wasn't in the 1%. I still took care of everything. But that's you know what I'm saying? It's just different, bro. So the idea, though, is I just encourage the women in love, man, I do, to look to contribute something. Yeah. And if finances is the first thing that came to your mind and you rolled your neck or your eyes rolled or you snapped your head, it's like that. You ain't ready. You're literally not ready to be a part of something. Because when we talking about marriage, we're talking about it being something that people come into to share life.
Right.
To share ideas, to share a vision, to, literally share yourself.
Right.
And not just your body, your heart, your spirit, all of those things are intertwined. And so when you go into it seeking to wear a dress or to have a bridal party or to just make it about you, then I think we all lose in that regard.
Real quick in that lane, man, because we are here to help. What are some free contributions that I can make to a Boaz that would just make him be like, dang, you know what I'm saying? That's impressive. And I mean with and I'm gonna give you some examples, man.
Yeah, no, I got you.
Okay, go, yeah.
No, I'll say this. I'll say let's start with the simplest thing ever, and that's literally asking.
That's good.
Like asking what it is that a person needs from you. Like, I think some of the things that happen sometimes, man, is that people just assume what they want. I'll tell you one of the most, and I know he does this in his own relationship, but he does it to me all the time. We'll be talking, and he'll be like, man, I know, Aunt, you may not boom, 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 but I know this. I know you want an Apple Watch, and I know you want a PlayStation, and you may say some of the simplest things that I may have talked about maybe once, or maybe I talked about it a lot of times, but it's like and it was in the aspect of I actually like gifts, but a large portion of my life as a man, I shunned it.
Right.
Not because I ain't know you couldn't afford it or whatever.
Right.
It's just some of those things you get caught up in your mind with and justifies like, oh no, it's cool. You gotta say thank you. You know what I'm saying? Or you don't need no gifts. It's about y'all. And it's like, nah, bro, I actually do like nice things. And I like, and you know what I'm saying? And so it's like, you were basically saying, well, in my mind, if I know this is something he's talked about multiple times, how much is the watch? $800. Okay, I'm gonna save $50 or $100 or whatever
that type of effort.
over time. Yeah, and it's like in that way, it's like paying attention to your partner, asking those questions. Sometimes you may listen, bro. It's hard for people to even understand me or figure me out. Sometimes you've even said that I can't figure you out, bro. And so it's like sometimes it's as simple as just asking. So that's the first thing I would say.
So with that, and this goes in the same thing, man. You can use technology now, to be the most amazing person in the world, right? So, for instance, I'm not super. I can remember certain gifts or things if somebody mentioned whatever, if it's something that I like. So we talking shoes, electronics, I'm gonna remember it. Yeah. But it could be something real subtle. So if this is your person that you're dealing with, there's literally notes in your phone under their contact. Mm-hmm. So while you're on the phone scrolling on Instagram, click off of that, pay attention to the conversation, go to info, and you can enter in everything that you want to know about your person. That way, when Father's Day comes around, I'm going to use Father's Day, yes, you don't have to run out the night before and go get them a bathrobe.
Oh, Lord.
You can actually look there a month and be like, man, this is the line that I hear all the time. What do you get somebody who got everything? Well, if you were literally taking notes, literally leading up to when Father's Day in June, you can have 6 months. You can have 6 months worth of notes. You know what I'm saying? And be able to pick, and you just pick around. That's gonna put a battery in that man's back, and he gonna want to go so hard for you. So it's little subtle things, man. Something else, man, that's used, man, is the shared notes. Yeah, you can have a list of prayer requests because maybe what if y'all are in a space. What if y'all are in a space, man, that communication isn't that great, right? Yeah, man, you got a prayer request list, man, that y'all can literally share amongst each other. Yeah. And so now, man, when you go on to war on their behalf, it's like, okay, well, they may be dealing with this, they may be dealing with this, man. And you can pray over that. Yeah. Me and you discuss all the time, man, sitting, this for the men, man, sitting our families down, man, discussing direction. Yeah. Man, you can literally share notes with your whole family and say, I want us to be a family that doesn't gossip. I want us to be a family that serves every Sunday. I want us to be a family that has a Bible study or some kind of devotion every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and eat breakfast together. Man, you can outline that stuff. And so now we say a lot of good stuff in the morning. I'm terrible about this. I'm like, man, that'd be a good idea. And then don't even remember it a month later. But now you have a reference point. Now you have principles to stand on. Yeah. So,
and so I think this actually kind of speaks directly to what I was going to say. My second thing is pay attention. Yeah. Just listen, I get it. You like gifts and I think I made this argument a long time ago, but I'm like, listen, I think society plays a great part in trying to make sure that men cater to women. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that because I believe men enjoy doing such, right?
Absolutely.
But what goes a long way is for somebody to be like, hey, I got your haircut this time. Or, hey, we finna go over here. I know you ain't used to this, and hey, I get you, but you on your feet all the time. Let's go get these feet taken care of. I don't care what it is. It's the small things, man. And I think the overall point, even after these first two things, was ask questions and pay attention, is men ain't that complex. They really simple. When we have a conversation, are you listening? Are you seeking to have something to say? Yeah. I just think that those things, man, they go a long way for a man who wants to be the priest, provider, protector, you know what I'm saying, and do all of those things and wants to take care of a woman and wants to have the traditional approach, especially if that's something that you desire to do as well. You know what I'm saying? Because then it's not about trying to figure out where you fit in, because then we can have those conversations are more easily flowing. You see what I'm saying?
Right. And the reason I wanted to point out things like that, because these are things you can actually train yourself to get better at. This is not a skill set like the fake cook or you really like to clean. If you don't like to clean, if you didn't like to clean back then, you probably don't like to clean now. That's not something you're just going to grow to love. Yeah. So I'm like, but there are little things, man, that I think bring value to a Boaz, that I think would really be appreciated. And those subtle things, man, are something that are just really, really easy to do, and you can implement it. Like, you can literally, even if you're not talking to nobody right now, you can be on the phone with your homegirl and have her Starbucks order in your phone. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can train yourself to do this stuff, and so now you'll catch it like, okay, you'll just listen for it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can I say this? This is, with all humility in my heart, I say this. This is about me. I'm not saying I'm Boaz. For anybody out there that might want to jump down my throat and say, nigga, you ain't. Hey, listen, I'm a man in progress. I am letting God use me and work on me. Hey, he was affirmed as Boaz in front of the congregation. But I in all seriousness, I'm not saying that I am or I ain't. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that.
That's why I said a Boaz type.
Yeah, man. I am a man who desperately wants to get it right before God first, and then,
right,
with the people around me. And so this is literally used to encourage, and
absolutely,
to bring a light to certain things. I could even see us doing a part 2 to this where we kind of deal with the Boaz aspect of it. Right. If that's something that interests you guys, please comment below. Absolutely. Please leave us, notes or whatever it is that y'all need to do. We probably need to create a email for the pod too. So that's something I'll do this week for sure. Yeah, man. But we want to be interactive with you all. We not trying to pick at nobody. Right. We don't think we better than nobody. I promise you, we don't. Like I said earlier,
this is probably more therapeutic and helps us probably more than the audience.
Yes.
To be transparent.
Yes. Because I think, my therapist even speaks to it. She's like, you're such a thinker and you this and that. And I'm like, sometimes I don't want to think that much. And so it can help when you are just as invested in streamlining some of the processes of life as I am.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When you're seeking to make things lighter in ways, it's like, man, I may never want you to pay for nothing. But I tell you, if you decide to do something and I ain't know about it, I ain't gonna be mad at it either.
I think those are two of the tells, man, that you might be on the right track, man, for your deal, man. If I think if he has that desire to take care of her, and I think if she has the desire, man, to make his load lighter,
yes,
you worked out service. I think you're on the right track if you have those two.
Because when we look at what your name is, a helpmeet, it's literally the same meaning as the Holy Spirit. You know what I'm saying? Paraclete, comforter, protect, like walk beside, like Pastor always say, peripateo, to get up on 2 legs and walk. Like, you walk beside me. You're a counselor. Like, my last encouragement is I want y'all to stop like lowering the idea of who you are inside of a relationship or a marriage and what you actually can contribute.
Right.
A lot of wise counsel can come from you. That I would rather get from you before I go talk to my partner, or before I go talk to some advisor or what. Like, and it don't mean that you the end all be all, but it's like, man, I want to kick it with my wife before anybody else. That's my partner. I want us to go. Right. Hey, let's go slide out real quick. Like, that's the type of things. Or let's game plan this. Man, how dope would it be to go get some money with your spouse?
Right.
Well, y'all both tandem to do certain things, and so that's the encouragement, man. All right, we don't want to drag it out much longer, but man, I thank you guys for watching episode 2 of the pod. And listen, man, until next time, we love you. We pray the Lord keep you for real. We'll see you on the other side, man. Thank you for watching. What's the name of it?
The Shift.
No, not the name of the podcast. The name of the episode.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for watching. Naomi and them.
No, man. Why did Ruth get chose?
Oh, why did Ruth get chose? We love you. Peace, dog.